Thank you, Judge. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator Leahy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Documents relating to the President's NSA warrantless wiretapping program?
Senator, I learned of that program when there was a New York Times story, or the reports of that program when there was a New York Times story that came over the wire, I think on a Thursday night in mid-December of last year.
You had not seen anything or had you heard anything about it prior to the New York Times article?
No.
Nothing at all?
Nothing at all.
Well, Judge Kavanaugh, I would ask you, do you believe that more context is needed to be able to address the question?
Well, I don't think I've heard the question yet, but I'll let you know when I hear the question.
When you were in the White House in 2001, did you ever work with John Yoo on the constitutional implications of a warrantless surveillance program?
We're talking about a lot of different things, Senator, here.
Warrantless surveillance program.
And that's talking about a lot of different things. So what you were asking about right there was the specific, what President Bush called the terror surveillance program. That was his name for it.
Which is a warrantless surveillance program.
Along with many others. And you were asking me about the terrorist surveillance program, TSP, I think he called it. That story was broken. That testimony is 100% accurate. That story was broken in the New York Times. I had not been read into that program. And when it came in the New York Times, I actually still remember my exact reaction when I read that story. And then the president that Saturday, I believe, did a live radio address to explain to the country what that program was about. There was a huge controversy. And so everyone was then working on getting the speech together. And you asked me if I'd learned about it before then. I said no, and that's accurate.
Okay, same thing that I requested on August 16th, because it's directly relevant to Judge Kavanaugh's testimony, directly relevant to the questions I've been asking here, directly relevant to his own emails with John Yoo. So before my next turn, we could take a look at that.
Okay. Well, we'll get them for you for your next turn tomorrow.
Now, President Trump claims he has an absolute right to pardon himself, does he?
The question of self-pardons is something I have never analyzed. It's a question that I have not written about. It's a question, therefore, that's a hypothetical question that I can't begin to answer in this context as a sitting judge and as a nominee to the Supreme Court.
Does the president have the ability to pardon somebody in exchange for a promise from that person they wouldn't testify against him?
Sarah, I'm not going to answer hypothetical questions of that sort. And there's a good reason for it. When judges don't, when we decide, we get briefs and arguments of the parties. We have a record. We have an appendix with all the information. We have amicus briefs, and then I never decide anything alone. I'm in a panel of 3, and if I'm confirmed to the Supreme Court, I'd be on a team of 9.
Mr. Chairman, I hope for the sake of the country that remains a hypothetical question. Thank you very much.
And since I gave you an extra minute, I'm not going to let you reserve the 25 seconds. Senator Graham.
Thank you very much.